Good evening and welcome to the regular school board meeting for Roseville Area Schools for December 18th, 2012. Roll call, please.
Director Azer.
Oh, here.
Director Shaw.
Here.
Director Johnson. You say here, Chair Goggins.
Here.
And Clerk Boguszewski is here also.
Thank you very much. Any agenda adjustments this evening?
I don't think you, sorry, I must say, I don't think you read Treasurer Anderson.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said
Treasurer Johnson.
Treasurer Anderson. My mistake.
I'm here.
The earlier parts of this meeting have me discombobulated. So I apologize.
Thank you.
Let's say Treasurer Todd.
Sure.
That's fine.
And for those who are following the, watching this on television, we had a Truth and Taxation public meeting prior to this meeting. We had some community input, some good discussion, which resulted in our late start this evening. So we apologize if you were waiting for that. So we have no agenda adjustments.
No agenda adjustments.
That moves us to announcements and comments, and we are fortunate this evening to have two announcements and comments, individuals here. We have Roseville Area School Foundation, and Chair Susan Duck will come up to the board table and share with us some information on the grant awards from the Roseville Area School Foundation. And we are incredibly fortunate to have a foundation in our community that is so supportive of schools. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, and I'm really excited to be here. We have great news to share, which is I'm sure you're waiting for after that last discussion. But our board recently approved 33 teacher grants exceeding $55,000. And I just need to say that the teachers we have in the school district are really amazing. We, unfortunately had more than 100 applications. Some, and we're only able to approve 33, but those that we did approve are just really exciting and innovative. So just a couple of examples. At E.D. Williams, they're purchasing a cue ball, which you may have seen on Shark Tank, but it's a ball with a microphone that a class can use to quickly encourage quick thinking of students, and they talk about a topic and then pass it on to the next student, and it just is really designed to engage students in learning and get them excited about the topics at hand. At Harambe, they're investing in a house program, which is a reward and recognition program, really geared to build community in that whole school, and we're super excited about what the principal and the teachers and the staff there are doing to really build that community in the school. There are a number of grants at the high schools designed to increase support for the trades. There's a new hoist that we're purchasing that will help with the automotive program. There's also a really innovative program where some of the kids in one of the classrooms are going to be building sheds and actually selling those sheds. And it teaches business skills as well as the construction skills. And then lots of flexible seating, books that are helping with absent narratives, lots of leadership training. I mean, the list goes on and on. And in fact, if you go to our website, rosevilleareaschools.org, we have the complete list out there. And I encourage all of the community members to go out and take a look at it, because you'll see we gave grants to every single school in the district, and to really all age groups. So we think that throughout the year, all students in our schools will really benefit from this. Of course, we also are paying this year $10,000 to our third installment to the Rams Idea Lab, and as a reminder, that's the new maker space in the middle school. IDEA stands for Innovation, Design, Engineering, and Arts. And it's a new space that's was officially opened in January. This is the first full year. It's a multidisciplinary space. And in conjunction with the school district and the administrators, we designed the space, and we just think it's going to be a really great addition to the school's overall, or the district's overall technology platform. So we're excited about that, and we're really also pleased that it's being built into the expansion plan. So one of the ways that the bond money will be used is to make enhancements at Roseville Area Middle School, and this is part of the partnership that we have between the school district and the foundation and the teachers, really working together to make a difference for our students. Of course, we couldn't do any of this work without our generous donors, so I want to thank everybody on the school district as well as in the community for the support that you provide above and beyond what you're required to pay with taxes. We have just amazing donors in this community. So I want to say thanks to everybody who supports the work of the foundation. I also want to thank our sponsors. We have some tremendous sponsors that support our work, including the Carges Falconbridge Engineers. They were our lead sponsor for the luncheon. I know they're doing a lot of work with the district, and what was really exciting when I talked to them at the luncheon, where we did some fundraising, is that they not only are, like contributing to the school district through the work that they're doing, but they've had a lot of the high school students in for a career day. They're coming in and doing some mentorship programs. So it's just this really neat partnership. LSC Architects, another sponsor, McGuire Insurance Agency. We've just got tremendous support from the community businesses. And then, of course, I also want to thank Abbott Labs, because every year they have given us a $12,000 grant just to support general operating programs, our teacher grants. And for many, many years, first at St. Jude and now as Abbott, they have been a huge supporter of Roseville area schools. And so I want to do a quick shout out to them. So, I want to keep you guys on schedule, but I do want to invite all community members. If you're interested in learning more about our work, again, go to our website, rosevilleareaschools.org. If you want to give, there's a donate page where you can either give online or you can mail in donations. Or if you're really interested in becoming part of what's a very dynamic and exciting board, we are going to be accepting applications for new board members in January, and there is an application on our site. So please, if that's something that you think, if you're excited about what's going on in our schools, if you want a way to give back, we are looking for new board members and would welcome some applications.
And it's an official, obviously, IRS tax charitable organization.
It is.
So if anybody out there is looking for that final thing to give something to as we approach the end of the tax year, the last few weeks, it'd be great to go out and think of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's some amazing projects that you've listed and done in the past, and other projects always, it's such creativity, and really appreciate.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's so exciting about the foundation, is that it gives teachers the opportunity to do projects that otherwise they might not be able to do because it can't be covered within the normal budget. So even though the dollar amount may seem small in comparison to the overall district's budget, I think from a teacher perspective, it really gives them the opportunity to try some new things. And then quite often these programs, if they're successful, then are shared with other teachers either in that school or across the district. And what's maybe a kind of a test 1 year or a pilot 1 year then becomes something that becomes really integrated into the classroom and into the learning going forward. So we're excited about that.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Much appreciated. And we are fortunate in our district to have another person who's gone through a tremendous effort to become a nationally board certified teacher. And Julie Schultz will be introducing him.
You just sit in the hot seat.
I guess.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be in front of you folks. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to introduce you to our newest nationally board certified teacher, Steve Pawelski. He is our newest nationally board certified teacher. I know I've talked to you before about what he has to do to earn it, but it's a significant accomplishment to earn national board certification. Teachers have to prove that they meet high standards, both in the profession of teaching as well as within their specific content areas. Teachers have to develop a portfolio that includes, I'd say, videotapes, and I wrote that, and I thought, well, that's old. CDs or MP3s of themselves teaching, examples of student work that were done in their classes, and they have to be able to provide evidence that they know their pedagogy as well as their content. And in addition, that they have to pass a written exam, which in Steve's case involved a whole bunch of math that I have no idea how to do, and I'm really glad that he does.
At least half. So.
So Steve is in his so he said 27.5 year of teaching. That's a math man. So 27 and a half year of teaching. Before coming to Roseville, he taught half a year of 8th grade math for the Milwaukee Public Schools and 1 year of 9th grade math in New London, Wisconsin. The next step in his career was Roseville, where he started teaching 8th grade mathematics at Rams. It was exciting times as Steve helped plan and implement a middle school model with interdisciplinary teaming as Rams transformed from a junior high to a middle school. And after 14 years at Rams, Steve decided to move to Roz to take on some new challenges like teaching an advanced placement course. Steve is currently in his 12th year at Roz, where he co-teaches geometry with a special education teacher, pre-AP geometry, which this year he made a flipped teaching course, and AP statistics. Additionally, Steve is a Roseville area parent of two students, two daughters that attended Central Park Elementary, Rams, and Roz. Maggie is currently a junior at Roz, and Abby, as a Roseville graduate, is a sophomore at the University of Wisconsin, Madison, studying genetics. And just a veteran, I think, of organic chemistry we were talking about.
Yeah.
And lastly, one of Steve's sisters is Ann Beerscheid, who teaches 7th grade English at Rams, and they taught together at Rams for 4 years, which I also didn't know. So I just need to say as an aside that the students at Roseville Area High School are incredibly lucky to have a teacher like Steve in their presence. He has determination, he has grit, he has humor, he has understanding, he has a great wealth of knowledge both in how to teach and what to teach. And we can be extremely proud of our newest nationally board certified teacher.
Can I do a couple thank yous? I just want to thank, first of all, the school district. It's a big financial commitment, and the school district does support that, and I really appreciate that. It would have been hard to do it on my own. I want to thank Julie. Without her support and her critiquing, it would have been a tough process. I want to thank Joe Wire, who also kind of encouraged me to try it. Also, Chantal and Joe Bew helped me a lot with the videotaping. So just throughout the district, a lot of support. I couldn't have done it without the people around me. So thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. My wife, Sheila, too. She helped me a lot with the proofreading and that, too. And I forgot to mention her. So sorry about that, Sheila.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Great
Thank you,
accomplishment. We
Very
hope that you
much.
continue to share your talents with our students for a very long time. We're very fortunate.
Thank you.
Yes. I know it was long before you became a nationally board certified teacher, but you taught my children, and I know you did a fantastic job. You really increased their curiosity, and they really enjoyed.
Thank you.
So. Thank you. Well, that's a fun way to start the meeting. Do we have any community input this evening?
Congratulations.
Consent agenda. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Okay, we have gifts this evening. Frank, would you like to start us off?
I'll start us off. We have a gift from Alyssa Rice to Green Hall Elementary School of library books. We have a gift from the Roseville Lutheran Church to Central Park Elementary School, a cash gift for technology. We have a cash gift from the Minnesota Historical Society to Edgerton Elementary School for field trips. We have a gift from salesforce.org to Edgerton Elementary School for students in need and student enrichment. A gift from Centennial United Methodist Church, a cash gift to Fairview Alternative High School for student needs. A gift from Carla Lindsay Morgan Stanley to Harambee Elementary School for classroom needs. A gift from U.S. Bank to Parkview Center School for the principal's discretion. A gift from the Parkview PTSA for the Courtyard Project, specialists, PBIS, and the classroom grant. And finally, or from my page, from Emmanuel Salamib for debate to Roseville Area High School.
All right, we have more. From Reader Graphics, from the
Gymnastics Booster Association, a gift of funds for Rare Graphics. From Thomas and Corolla Rauer, a gift of funds for Roz Robotics. And we have a lot to the senior Roseville area senior program for their annual holiday party raffle. From Chianti Grill, a gift card. From Cub Foods, a gift card. From Lunds and Byerly's, a gift card. From Old Chicago, 2 gift cards. From Outback Restaurant, 2 gift cards. From Schuler Shoes, 2 gift cards. And from Target, a gift card. Also from Sharon Boyce, ADK Women's Educators Organization, the Roseville Alpha Alpha Chapter, a gift of multiple bags of hats, mittens, and other winter items for students in need. From William Moore, the Ramsey County Public Health Healthy Commissions Division, 45 bike helmets for the bike rodeo events that will be held in May. And then finally from Michelle Breidenbach and Bicycle Alliance of Minnesota, a bike rodeo kit, again for the bike rodeo walk bike fun education event. So thank you to our generous community.
We are so fortunate this evening, both hearing about the foundation and these wonderful gifts. We also have some very long-term staff that we get to thank for their amazing service as they retire. Would you care to make the motion?
Yeah, I would move that we accept the following retirements. We have actually 6 individuals who are retiring that I'd like to call attention to. Some non-licensed staff, Daniel Hochschul, custodial engineer, who's been with us for 26 years. Laura Kuddle, paraprofessional, who's been with us for 20 years. Mark Ship, also a custodial engineer, who's been with us for 25 years. And Andrew Wapple, who'd been with us as a custodial engineer for 44 years. So congratulations to them on their retirement. And then licensed staff, we have 2. An EL teacher, Madeline Brown, who's retiring most recently at Little Canada Elementary School, who's been with us for about 9 years. And then music teacher, retiring out of most recently Parkview, Linnea Marin, who started with us in 1998, so a 20-year veteran of the school district. So again, we accept their retirements with great appreciation and for all they brought to the district in their careers.
Do we have a second for the motion?
Second.
Okay. Any further comments? It's an amazing amount of years that these folks have put into our school district and for our students and our youth. We are so fortunate. All in favor?
Aye.
Ready?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Nay? Okay, we've obviously unanimously accepted with appreciation the retirements. That moves us to report on non-action items. This evening we have a number. The first is Early Childhood Programming Report. And we have Karen Schaub and Tammy Reese.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
This is a great opportunity for us to come forward and have an opportunity to share with you some of the things that are happening with some of our youngest scholars. It's always really fun. We're going to show you some great pictures. We're going to show you some great opportunities that our students are having, and I can very proudly say that our program is continuing to grow. We're kind of capped out in space right now in our classes, but we're always looking for ways to continue to add some programs, and you're going to hear about some of those programs tonight. I'm fortunate tonight to have Tammy Reese with me, who's the manager of our early childhood program, and she's going to have some great information to share. And we've been talking as a district and as a board a lot about social emotional learning, and you're going to hear what's going on with our littlest learners. Tammy?
All right. Thank you. We're here tonight to share some things that are happening in early childhood around social emotional development and some partnerships that we've developed. So we're looking at partnering for students' school success. Do I have it? Oh.
Do you want to do it again?
Thank you. And we're going to focus tonight on 2 areas from the strategic plan, and those are strengthening support for the social and emotional development of students and improving communication and genuine engagement with families and communities, especially with our underrepresented communities. And so what we're we're going to first talk about is the social emotional development and what we're doing within our programs. And then we're going to talk about ways we're weaving that into our work in engaging families. So the first part, I just wanted to share about our pre-K second step curriculum. And this actually would be considered like a Tier 1 instruction. It is provided for everyone in our classrooms. It's divided up into weekly themes and then daily lessons, and they're listed up there, the things that we're working on in all of our pre-K classrooms, especially the emotion management. We work a lot within our classrooms on that, naming feelings, how to appropriately express a feeling, and so that we can help kids manage through their day in a really positive way. So part of the work of our pre-K to grade 3 leadership team over the past few years, we've developed K entry benchmarks in literacy, math, and social emotional. So what we have up here is what we've developed for social emotional development, and actually a way that we can start to assess where kids are at and that we can track the data. And so after a lot of work and research and thinking about what helps kids be really successful, especially in kindergarten, this is the 3 things that we came up with. And then the teachers just do a rating of most of the time, sometimes, and rarely. And so we have been able then to track this data in a very similar way that we do literacy and math. And I think that's one of the things as we move forward that I think having the focus on social emotional development has really helped the early childhood program to focus on this in a different way, in the very same way as we would literacy or math. So what you can see here is these are the kids who just completed pre-K and then are moving on to kindergarten in the fall of 2018. So, you know, the students in the blue, they're doing pretty well. Most of the time they're managing really positively in their social emotional development. The green just shows the kids that maybe are having a few more challenges with social emotional development. And we are now really looking at this in a way that we can do really intentional interventions with the kids that are struggling. And so we've created a social emotional support team, which is also one of our world's best workforce goals. Social emotional support team provides support in early childhood programs to encourage growth in young children's social emotional development. So we have a team of administrators and teachers. We meet twice a month and work to support teachers and students with Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 strategies to support young children in early childhood classrooms. We will always, I guess I could say, take a look at Tier 1 and looking at building relationships, and then also the environment and what is happening within our classroom environment and even arrangement of furniture and things. Then we'll also take a look at the schedule, the transitions, how many transitions, how long are kids waiting. We'll just really take a look at everything that's going on in the classroom and what we can change to help more kids be successful. And then with the kids that are having more of a challenge that we saw in the graph, we will look at small group or even individual interventions with that. So this is, we're in our second year of this, and it has really been helpful for students first and foremost, but also to support the teachers in their work. It's been a really positive thing.
I think one of the fun things is to hear about understanding that there might be a struggle going on in a classroom, and Tammy and her team go into the classroom and work with the teacher when the students aren't around and rearrange the whole classroom. And when she comes back and the rest of the team come back, they're just so excited because the teacher all of a sudden goes, oh, that's what we should do. You know, getting in there and being able to work with everyone and be part of that team of moving the classroom around. Sometimes it feels like it's just appropriate, but when you have certain kinds of activities going on, you sometimes have to move the classroom around.
Yeah.
And I can always tell when they've had a success because they come back just sort of giddy about, oh,
Yeah.
this really did work. And
Yeah.
the teachers have,
Mhm.
I think, come to appreciate it because I think it's really hard if someone comes in your classroom and says, how about if we rearrange? And then they rearrange and see success. I think we're having, our teachers feel better, our students feel
Yeah,
better, and our
absolutely.
staff is making a difference.
And sometimes we just work on adding to the environment, making sure if maybe we need some more sensory things, if we have some children who have some sensory needs or they need to move more. We'll make sure those things are happening. We'll bring in a little trampoline, we'll bring in a sit and spin, different things. So we're just working to meet individual needs and what do kids need, and then making sure we have that available in the classroom. And it is really fun when we get to do that and see success with that. And yeah, it's great. So, all right. So now that sort of just sets the stage a little bit about just what we're doing. We have curriculum, we have a team set up. We're doing assessments now in this area. So now what I want to talk about is how we're bringing this social emotional learning into our work with engaging families. So just to frame this, we just want to take a look at our enrollment over the past couple of years. So in ECFE, you can see there, children are in blue and the parents are in red. There's usually always a little difference there because sometimes parents will come with more than one child, so we usually see more children than parents. But for this past year, 17-18, that represents about 1,128 children, which actually is about 45% of our birth to age 5 population in our district, which means there's 55% more that we need to work to reach. And so that's been a focus of our work now moving forward. So there are a lot more families that we want to engage. So I just wanted to show that. With our early childhood screening, you can see here this past year we screened 691 children, which is the most that we've done in the past 6 years. So that is really exciting. We're actually doing some real intentional outreach in this area. Also, every opportunity that we interact with a child and a parents is an opportunity for outreach and to let them know about our programs, let them know about our school district, let them know what kind of support services are available in the community for them. And so reaching 691 families is really great.
And
in
a
that area.
reminder to anyone, screening starts at 3 years old. So really, the sooner we can screen students, the sooner we can provide programs and opportunities, and if there's needed some support, we can get support. For some reason, I think over time, people are thinking that preschool screening should happen this summer or the spring before going to kindergarten, and we're really working on our PR as well as the whole county of Ramsey County to say screen at 3.
Yeah. That gives us 2 years of early intervention before kindergarten, which is really what the goal of early childhood screening is. So we are working on that as well. Our pre-K enrollment is here. As you can see, I just wanted to point out the 17-18 figure is actually at the end of the year how many we served. Right now, that is to date. So we're actually filling more spots, and they're going to be starting. So I'm anticipating it'll probably be about the same as last year. As Karen mentioned, we're using all the space that we can to just serve as many kids as we can. So we're probably going to be looking about the same amount as last year.
And a pre-K classroom is never any more than 20 students. So it's not where we can continue to put students in the classroom. 20 is the cap. We did a lot at 16 when we were first getting going, and 17 and 18, and now we have more of our classrooms at the 20 students,
Right.
with 2 adults.
Mm-hmm. So that I just wanted to show the enrollment to continue. It motivates me and our program to continue to do our outreach because there's more people. That's what we're trying to do. So now we're just going to talk a little bit more about the programs that we're partnering with. And this is partnering with community early childhood, child care, and preschool programs to support early learners. This is also World's Best Workforce Goal. And we are working with the Teaching and Learning Department and reaching out to do trainings. And we did one on May 16th, and that we had 56 people attended, representing all of those that are listed there. We focused on math, literacy, and social emotional benchmarks as kids go into kindergarten, and then what are some things we can do as early childhood providers to support kids so that they're ready for kindergarten. We did have a really great response and asked for some feedback, and people are really looking for more of this kind of training and learning more about what the school district is doing in terms of getting kids ready for kindergarten, so they can partner in our work with the kids that they're working with. So we did do another one in December. We had 39 people attend, and this topic was all on social emotional development. It clearly came out from our evaluations from the one in May. This is something that people are really interested in and really want to know more about. So as you can see there, we focused on elements of an emotionally safe learning environment, creating clear rules and expectations, and really a lot of the focus was on specific strategies to help kids with self-regulation. Like I mentioned, naming feelings, what to do with the feeling and what's appropriate, like in a child care or school setting, and then offering a lot of options. We shared a lot of actual strategies, things people could take home, visual kinds of things, and so it's encouraging to work with other people that are working with young children and partner in this work.
So our next step is to be able to offer to some of our partners here the opportunity to have our staff actually go in to their setting and actually be able to support them in any ways, maybe role model, just hear what their issues are and how can we help them. And I think oftentimes if you are doing daycare in your home or in a small setting, you feel uncomfortable about having someone come in. But I think by developing these relationships we have, there'll be more opportunities for us to come in, which means we're able to also promote preschool screening and different things that we can help them understand, as well as share some resources that we may have with them.
And we did also share resources that they could share with parents. So it's just one more way that we can reach parents through area programs. There's a lot of potential there for continued partnerships, like Karen said. So the next part, we just wanted to give you a glimpse of what's happening. So there are quite a few pictures, and this is all about partnering with parents to improve engagement. And we have been focusing on social emotional development as topics of our learning with families. So the first picture up here is our ECFE at CTC, which is University of Minnesota Student Housing. So we actually go there, the teachers go there. We have a room on site there that we can use. And this just shows they were doing a celebration together and sharing some foods with each other. Next thing is our ECFE teachers, actually as part of their PLC collaborative teams, they are working on the goal of parent engagement and actually increasing participation, especially in our infant classes. So they started brainstorming and thinking about some things they could do to outreach families with infants. And so we did what could be called a baby shower, kind of a celebration of you and your child. And so we had one that we did on a Saturday morning at Fairview, and there's a couple pictures there of some families doing peekaboo. That's what was going on with that activity. And then each of the parent educators set up a parent ed station with the different areas of development. And it's just a great time to come together, and parents noted on their feedback forms that they really liked meeting other parents and other families with infants. So it was a really positive event. We have actually 3 more planned for the rest of the year. And then from here, we're actually doing outreach for people who said they want to do an ECFE class. Our pre-K and ECFE outreach coordinator, Nick Oberly, is actually doing that follow-up. He's been calling families, and we just are starting to register for next semester. Another teacher shared with me that she met a family here at this event. The following week, the family was at one of our drop-in and play events. And those are the kinds of things that we want to see happen. Come to one thing, and of course we want people to continue with our program.
The other interesting piece is we invited babies sort of 0 to 8 months. There were 350 on our that we knew about, and we work with the hospitals, and they give the names. So it's the ability for us to outreach has improved so much as different partnerships have improved.
Absolutely. And another new one to mention, a partnership is with WIC, with Public Health, with the WIC program. We actually have a partnership where parents are setting a release to share the demographic information, and they want information from our program. So I think all of these things that we do just to learn more about people, and then we can do the outreach. There's a really cute picture that I don't know if I'd like to see. This one? This is from our event as well. And if you think about social emotional development and kind of the development of self. So here's a baby, reflecting back the picture of a baby and just learning about, me, and I'm a separate person, which moves on to recognizing facial features and feelings and on and on. So it's all of this is starting very early, the social emotional development. Toward the beginning of summer, I think I was here, I think that was in June, and we were talking about the summer outreach program that we were doing, where we were just out and about. And we went and brought our activities and parenting information. We visited Acorn Park and Central Park and apartments on Mississippi Street, Montreal Apartments, and an area near Big Circle, Little Circle. So we visited each of these 5 places once a week for 5 weeks. And these are just a couple of pictures. It was just a wonderful way to meet families, to interact with kids. It was really fun to pull up to an apartment building and bring things out. And you would just see these beautiful faces looking out the window, like, they're here. And people would come up. They did. They just came. And it might have been, we visited with grandparents who then went and got maybe their own children and grandchildren. And just a great way to talk about our program, share parenting information. And so as a follow-up to that, we are working on, being that it's winter now, we can't really be outside, but we are working with Montreal Apartments. They do have a meeting room, and so we're trying to set something up there where we can go do some events there. We're also going to work, see if we can do it at Town Square, and then there's one more, Santa Green Apartments. So another way we're engaging families is through our pre-K family engagement nights. So what we do here is there are 3 times at each pre-K site. We're at 6 of the schools. And then we focus on literacy, math, and social emotional development at each of the events. So there's activities for parents, there's educational things. We often have a free meal as part of this. And just to, once again, that community building and parents meeting each other, but also learning about these topics. So here's a couple of pictures from that. There's one at Central Park. They're working on some literacy things with the sentence strips and some writing, as you can see there. And this is at Fairview. There's families enjoying a meal, and then they'll move on and do some activities. Parent Focus is another activity that we have, educational opportunity. This is also part of our pre-K to grade 3 work. And this actually is for families with children birth to grade 3. So it's free, no registration. We're just trying to remove as many barriers as we can to participating. And it actually, on page 18 of the ECFE book that I passed out, you can see the new ones that are coming out, the new topics. We're also working with some other community resources and school district experts to provide some of our classes, we could say. So we have Roseville Police coming in to do a session, fire department, to share some.
In this picture?
Yes, and that's right. So this is Jean Whistler, and she came in and did a topic for us on young children's early language development. So we just did that in December. And then we have a couple other things that we want to talk about, partnering with other school district programs. So this is just one of my most favorite activities or partnerships that we have going on. And this is with FOS students. And so we have FOS students that are coming and visiting pre-K, and they are working again on social skills. So I think everybody is learning about social skills through this partnership, but especially the FOS students are modeling appropriate play with pre-K. And you can see here they're playing a board game, which is a great activity for learning about social skills and taking turns and problem solving and how to appropriately use materials. And so we, twice a week, it's Jennifer, George, and Melanie Meyer bringing their AVID students, one in the pre-K classroom, the other one is in the gym, and the students are planning games and thinking about how they're going to interact with the kids, and it is such a positive experience for everyone. You can see there's just a lot of activity going on, and the FOS students in the room doing things with pre-K. And I just wanted to share, this is from the pre-K teacher who is teaches this particular class and has worked also with the FOS teachers to set this up. And she wrote this in an email to me, and she graciously let me share it with all of you because I thought it was such a neat way to talk about what's going on. She says, being a teenager can so often mean that you're never an expert on anything that matters. So it is so great that they get to be the coolest people in the room by far. And just speaks of just the benefits of these kind of partnerships happening. So, and the other one that we want to highlight is our partnership with ABE and EL and our Adult Learning Center and our pre-K family literacy class. And so every Friday, the parents meet with the pre-K teachers. They meet with a parent educator and an EL teacher. And myself and Alex Fisher, we actually have the pleasure of teaching this class, and it's been a great opportunity to meet the families. And so we are doing a parenting session. We have been working on social emotional development, and along with teaching EL and vocabulary, but it's all around parenting. So one thing we're working on here, we were talking about self-regulation and the importance of children learning stop and go. This is something we do use in our classroom. You'll probably see pre-K teachers wearing this, and we use it a lot in helping kids learn. First, they'll learn the symbol and the color before they're learning to read, but that's part of the literacy development. And so we'll often talk about what's going on in the classroom and then things that families can replicate at home. And so we talked about this, and then everybody made this, and then they were able to take it home and use with their kids. So those are just some ideas of what we're doing. And there's just an example there, the teachers working on focusing. That was a neat activity as well. So just to kind of sum this up, I have this quote. It just talks about how all of this is just woven together, and everything is embedded within the different curriculum and learning areas. When we focus on the social and emotional aspect of working together on a science, a math, or literacy activity, we create a balanced experience that helps children in all aspects of development. And it's really, you don't really have one without the other. It's all happening together, especially in early childhood. And so I'm just really excited about this focus that we have in the social emotional development, because it has helped us to really think really more intentionally about how we're doing this work and how we can best support students. And the last picture kind of shows this. There's one more. Shows it all happening. This is math. This is literacy. This is a sensory activity. This is social skills. Figuring out how are we going to fit all the kids around, how are we going to share what's in there, learning about maybe what a funnel is. So we're doing vocabulary. We might be learning about volume and math skills. So I just wanted to show that, just the great excitement about learning and how this all is just all woven together within our early childhood program.
Any questions?
Just comments. So, as a veteran with our kids, 25, 27 years ago, ECF and early childhood academy classes.
Yes.
Social emotional learning has kind of been going on all the time anyway, kind of as a meta learning under the surface. So
Yes.
just to bring it out and call it out and make it intentional, acknowledge it, and be able
Yes.
to work on it, directly is just really exciting because it really that's the part that many parents hope to really have happen anyway. So
Right.
I think the other observation is, and I was very aware of and benefited from it through the admin classes, as you make your pitch and as people listening or hearing us, maybe reaching the other 55% who are part of it, the parents get as much out of this as the kids when they come to these programs. And I don't think parents realize that. And these programs aren't, like there may be people out there that say, oh, we don't need that. That's like saying you don't need food, you don't need bread, you don't need water. This is something everyone should take advantage of. It's not for any particular type or group or anything like that. Everybody really should take advantage of the extent they can. It was really a fantastic experience. So congratulations. It's really, this to me is one of the most important things we do. So.
Thank you.
Can you comment on what impact you're seeing of the intentional SEL learning? Because as Mike said, I think it's been built in a lot over the years, but obviously last year you intentionally focused on it. You tried to measure a baseline.
Yes.
But do you feel that it's with the more intentional aspect of it that more students are gaining those skills?
Yes. And we're going to know more when we do some assessments at the end of the year. So what we're going to hope is more kids are in the blue. But day to day, teachers are going to observe this. They're going to see a child who is maybe going to stop and do a belly breath instead of maybe throwing the toy. And so we will see it there as well. We also have another developmental assessment that we do. We do fall, winter, spring. So we should also be able to see there where more kids are able to achieve the goals in the social emotional learning. But most of it is going to be the day-to-day stories that the teachers are seeing. The kids are able to problem solve. They're able to just stop. They're able to name a feeling, and those kind of things that are happening.
Very exciting work.
And I think the great part is, as we've continued to grow, the assessments are becoming the same assessments. So before we had like 7 different assessments, and teachers were going, they were picking what they wanted to do. Excuse me. But now all the teachers are assessing the same way. They're doing professional development around it, and we're able to make changes more rapidly. So by the end of fall, they're already looking at what needs to happen. So I think that more intentional piece of it, it's not coming just because it happened. It's coming because Tammy and the rest of the crew are really focusing on it. And I think that's a big change to really have that direct focus.
And identifying like kids who need the extra support. We are very comfortable doing that with like literacy. So, and actually at our last data meeting we had, we did it the same process with social emotional, and that was a new way of talking and thinking for teachers, and we just did the same process. We kind of used, red, yellow, green, who's doing well, who needs a little more support, and who needs even more support, and then thinking about the plan, what interventions, and we use things like the second step curriculum, which has individual activities as well that we can work with. And then support from the social emotional support team as well. But I would say there is a shift in how we're thinking about it and planning. And with that, then we should hopefully see the results as we look at the assessment data.
So you're all welcome to give Tammy a call if you'd like to come and spend some time in one of our classrooms. It will make your day. Any and every day, they are just absolutely bring lots of joy.
Joy.
It's
Joyful.
so fun to watch them just
It
grow.
is.
So if you have any other questions, feel free to send me an email or to
Yep.
give Tammy a phone call.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one we have is kind of, this was our older learners. Now we're going to deal with some of our,
Yeah.
or some of the young learners. Now we're moving to some of the older learners. We have competency-based adult diploma, and we have Tim O'Brien, Alex Fisher, Karen Shaw. Continue.
Thank you. This is another exciting piece, and I think right now tonight we're really going to focus on the concept of this idea, how it gets implemented. We can talk more about it at a future board meeting because we're still doing even some more background work. We're so fortunate because we've had a couple of really great opportunities come our way, and through that, we also started to focus back on what do our students need. Something that we always need to talk about is what do our students need. And so Tim has been pushing me hard. We've been having lots of conversation about what a competency-based diploma might look like. And the state has been working towards that, but certainly they're working at maybe a slower pace than we think we'd like to see happen for our school district. So later on we can talk more about that, but I think right now we're going to just take you through our PowerPoint here and try to help you understand what we're talking about and why we are excited. So Tim, would you like to introduce our guest?
Sure, yeah. So we're a team, kind of a tight team, a small team. Linda Pope is our ABE instructor, and I am also an ABE instructor in the classroom with these students. And Rebecca Hansen is from the Corinne organization in Minnesota and is our superior navigator. She helps students with all of the barriers and things that they're facing, and works one-on-one with them to kind of work things out. So it's a fabulous model that we've put into place, and of course we've got the support of the entire ABE program, which Alex brings to bear for us. So it's great.
So let me just say, in your packet with some background information, we're going to take you through a different set of PowerPoint that will touch on some of it. But
Yeah, maybe I can just give you a little quick background. So about 6 years ago, I started working with the state MDE on doing a competency-based diploma. And the elements that we thought were really critical in our first task force, which I was chair of, we came out with the idea of a portfolio. Reflective practice would be really important. We came out with the idea that we really wanted to show what people could do, focus on showing what people could do, and try to get as many barriers out of the way, sort of more arbitrary barriers, and work on authentic barriers. What are those authentic barriers to participating in pathway work in their lives, in their communities? What are the barriers, actual authentic barriers, and focus on those as our walls to get over. So, and then the state task force, we did a second task force, and it went towards the legislature and shifted a bit, and they focused on trying to align it to the Common Core standards and to more standards-based approach. And so I kind of held out, and I wanted to keep trying for this purely competency-based diploma, and so that's what we've been developing, and we've been working really, really hard to get it going. We got a grant this spring from DEED and MJSP, which we announced here a couple months ago. That really launched us, and so the Apprentice and Manufacturing Ready program, the AMR program, is running, and we've got 10 fabulous students that we're working with right now, and we've got several of them that would probably do really well with a diploma from Roseville, various schools. So So trainings and certifications, we're doing, we're what's called an on-ramp. So we're not trying to do the training of apprenticeship programs. We're not trying to do the training, actual hard trainings. What we're trying to do is the literacy work around those trainings and get people ready to be trained. So an apprenticeship, they'll pick you up from the ground up, but they need you to be ready to learn, ready to move, ready to work. And so those are the literacies that we're working on, is to get them ready for those, ready for safety, ready for learning about, so they have some experience behind them around tools and around the ideas about the apprenticeships that they're going into. So we have forklift safety and behind the wheel for some of the manufacturing pieces. We have first aid. We have some we're doing the North Star digital literacy assessments. OSHA 10 prep. Everybody's got to do OSHA 10 many times, and so we're doing something. We're collaborating with the Association of Building Contractors, who do safety training for small contractors around the state, and we're doing some very specific literacy work around safety, around moving around job sites safely. And we've got 4 major sessions around it, and it'll be really interesting. But it's a very strong literacy approach as opposed to just trying to train them in OSHA 10. We are still negotiating with DEED and MJSP over getting an augmented virtual welder in the classroom. And our goal was we put it into our grant and they accepted it, but we've been having trouble getting an authorization to get it. It's an expensive piece of equipment, but our thought was if we could get everybody in that classroom very comfortable with welding, and then take them for three-day experience at the ironworkers in their welding booths with welding instructors, with the sparks flying and starting themselves on fire and all this smoke and craziness of it, that we might actually have some people that could really weld and really do a great job and would find the ironworkers an interesting opportunity. So these are just some of the things that we're doing. We built in some pieces to the program that are not specifically job readiness. And part of it is to build people who are have strong roots in their communities, and also can be effective in their community. So we've got a civics component, and Linda just finished up doing a couple of things with her students.
Yeah, that picture is our group meeting with Representative John Marty, whose district includes Roseville. And that was a culmination of a lot of hard work, researching, reading, learning about gun control legislation and also immigration issues. Those are 2 civics units that students chose as most important to them, so that's what we were focusing on. We had just the day before drafted a comment to Department of Homeland Security on their proposed rule change during public comment period, and that again was after a lot of research and reading. And students met with Senator Marty for close to an hour and had a really great discussion with him. And that was the end of Unit 1. So now we're ready for our next civics unit.
It's been very engaging, very, very engaging. So another piece of the AMR program is that we try to do as much hands-on as we can. Hands-on, the whole experience. So part of our precision measurement, our first precision measurement unit was actually measuring out how to make these little iPad stands out of copper. And they're learning how to sweat copper pipe, which is a trade tool, set of tools, and they're also learning how to really measure carefully and cut pipe and do the whole thing. So it was just, these are the kinds of experiences that we're working on. We're also working with several trade unions and trying to bring in more experiences that will, that are kind of like first month on the job kinds of experiences, things that they want people to have experience with right out of the gate. So this was you doing waste pipe with PVC and learning about plumbing. They learned about the plumbing of a house, and then they built these coat racks because we didn't have any place to plumb. So we built these coat racks, and they learned how to put them all together and cut them precisely, and it was great. We fixed some equipment in the EL library using. This was the first time these guys had ever used power drivers, and so they're learning all about different hand tools. We have table saws, chop saws. We have an air compressor with pneumatic nailers. They've got a lot of tools that they're learning a lot about, and they're learning how to take care of these tools. They're learning all the language around these tools so that they're comfortable with them. This was our first safety module with ABC, and they were working at heights, so they're all learning how to put on harnesses and be harnessed, and how to be safe in harnesses up on rooftops. Really important. You want to talk about visiting apprenticeships?
Yeah. So obviously the goal of our class is for our students to be placed in a registered apprenticeship if that is something they desire. So we've been building a lot of relationships with local apprenticeship training centers in the Twin Cities area. So far we've visited 5 apprenticeship training centers. These photos are from the Cement Masons Training Center, the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers. The next slide, we have photos from the Floor Covering Training Center, the Carpenters Training Center, as well as the Finishing Trades Institute here. And we also plan to visit about 3 more, coming this winter and spring before the class is over. In addition to that component, we have visited 2 job sites so far, the Goff Construction, as well as one other construction company has allowed our students to visit on site to see what a real construction site is like if they were to get one of these jobs. So a really great experience for our students to see what it's like to be in one of these jobs.
And they really, both groups have really opened up their doors to us. We got to see every single craft and every trade and every inch of those buildings. So they got a really good sense of what it is like to work on in the trades that they're interested in.
Yeah. Would you like to wait till the end for questions, or would you entertain?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just couple things I'm unclear about. When we talk about this program, is our goal then for them to become apprentices so that they have what's necessary to be able to enter an apprenticeship program?
Exactly.
And to try to make them a strong candidate because they've had this safety training and some other tools. Now, in here, I thought I read that they're required to have a high school diploma. Is that correct?
In order to get the apprenticeship, they need to have a high school diploma. Several of the people that we were working with have diplomas from other countries. They have some post-secondary from other countries, but they don't have one from here. So some people, like Zonia, is working on her GED, and she's working on a credit-based diploma program right now, as well as attending our program. We would love to be able to fold that all together into a competency-based diploma for her, so that come April, if she's ready, we've gotten through everything that we need to get through for the diploma, and she's ready to present her portfolio to members of this group and other people, then we would be ready to proceed if we had that diploma, if that diploma was available.
So what's in place is this kind of preparation related to the trade, and what's in place are these English classes where they're learning some of these competencies. But what you're trying to do is meld the two by having a competency-based diploma that will enable them to meet the prerequisites. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I really understand.
That's exactly right. Yes. And our feeling is that by being strategic about the content, we're able to spend more time on the competencies. So we're able to spend more time on the English, more time on reading and working with authentic materials that are actually doing two things at once. You know, they're showing that they've got a high level of understanding and that they can take one idea and apply it to another place, that they're lifelong learners while getting them ready for the apprenticeship specifically. Yeah.
So this competency-based diploma, I'm assuming there are standards within the state of Minnesota that are required to be able to get a diploma. I mean, there's some local leeway, but there are state standards, is that correct?
For adults, we're sort of working with the lawyers to try to nail this down in writing. The statute is kind of
Big.
Adult basic education is in the holes of the statute as opposed to really standing in statute. So, but it's been my understanding for all the way through the adult diploma program, the task course, the adult standard diploma, and all the way through to right now. Basically, there are two elements that are required. One is that people need to have a 6th grade reading level and a tape test before they can enter into the actual diploma program, but it wouldn't keep them from being in an AMR program, and then and they need to be eligible for ABE services. So, and our goal is that we almost never take somebody who could qualify for K-12 services. Our goal is to get those people into a K-12 program that can serve them. But if they no longer have that as an option, then welcome them on board. So we did our intake process for this particular program is very focused on apprenticeships. So we want to make sure that people want to get apprenticeships and that they're committed to doing it. And it's been tremendously successful up to this point. So.
Thank you. It just
So
felt me
it's kind
grounding
of,
to keep going with you
it's
as you're
tying
going
some
along.
of these pieces together. One other school district has already gone down this road, and we are getting some of their information from their school district of how it worked. We know other districts have kind of talked about doing this, but it really ends up coming back to be Carnegie credits, and we've been really kind of researching here about where the opportunity could come for a particular group of learners. So right now we have the GED test, we have the adult diploma, and now the state is really talking about the third piece is going to be a competency-based diploma. So we don't want anyone to think that we're not still doing the diploma that we have done for many years here. We are still serving a group of students really well, but we're also opening up some different doors and new doors down the road for some of our learners. So the beginning part of this is probably not a lot of folks will come through and receive a competency-based diploma. Some of the students in the program right now already do have their adult diploma but they are not able to find a job. They need some skills that are better. So we're trying to tie a variety of these pieces together for another opportunity for folks who are just still not being able to make a living wage. And by talking to some of the businesses that these folks have talked to, they're really excited to know that people will come in with some basic understanding, and that we really believe that trust will be developed between us and different businesses, where they'll be coming to us to say, are you ready? Do we have some other students? Because we would like to bring them into our program. So it's kind of a long-term, and it's also opening up a new opportunity in our department that we haven't had before.
Right, and so we're ahead of the state because if the state is working on it, it might take them some time. And so the district that has already adopted, others are working on it, like we just don't want to wait and don't want to, because who knows how long that'll take, especially with the new legislature coming in. So let's just move ahead. That's why you wanted it. And because it's an alternative new pathway to diplomaing students, then that's why it will require board action to authorize this as an alternative new pathway to being a Roseville area high school diplomate.
That's what we're confirming. Yes, we've had some conversations on whether it can be done with or without policy. So those kinds of pieces would be the next piece that we would bring back to you.
Right. Well,
But
it
if
fits
there-
because,
yeah.
you know, formally it is the board that confers
Absolutely.
diplomas on the kids,
Absolutely.
you know, who are shepherded through by
Yep.
all of you wonderful people. What's the timing that's needed on that? So tonight, obviously, we're not going to vote on this,
Yeah.
but, you know, to make it work in the timing that you talked about, when would you envision it coming back to us, being all ready and the conversations with the lawyers having to happen and all that kind of stuff?
We're hoping in January, so that some of our students aren't wondering, you know, what that possibility would be. We already have businesses that are interested, but we want to be really clear that this still has rigor behind it, that we are making sure that a variety of these skills that we talk about can be measured. We do have a template for a portfolio set up already. It just is, we almost have to put you in as a student to be able to make this work so we can show it to you, but we're trying to figure out some ways that we can show it better. But every student will have a portfolio, and you saw the list in the attachment A of the different areas that our students are going to have to show us that they have competency in that area.
Just to be clear, so this, so they need to have a 6th grade reading level in English, but not their home language?
Right, and
Okay.
so
Just wanted to make that
no,
point.
that's true in English, yes, and it's in the standardized test.
Okay. So
So
even if they have a higher level in their own home language, it still has to be in English?
we have people who, one person has 2 years of economics training, and we have somebody who went through 3 or 4 years of seminary work, and so yeah, it's English. English is the issue. But we also, you know, are looking at working with the state on some multiple measures, some ways to help some people who may be near a 6 but not quite there, and maybe they've got some learning challenges that make that a very difficult thing. They're performing at a tremendously high level verbally.
It's more about the ideas anyway.
Exactly. So we're. I have a meeting with Todd Wagner from the state AV program in January, and we're going to have a conversation.
Thank you for clarifying that for me.
So Zonia is a woman from El Salvador and Honduras. She was young and didn't get much of a chance at education. They were moving back and forth because of destabilized lifeway around war and around other things. She was moving back and forth between Honduras and El Salvador, and she was working. She was a worker bee from a very early age. She's been in the country about 20 years. She's got a kind of a special status, and so every one of these people has a sort of a different status in the country, but they all have legal status to be here. She worked 10 years at one job. She just finished working 10 years at Sealy, which just closed. And she's been a wonderful worker. She would like to get a job for life, but she knows that in the way that the environment is going, she's looking down the barrel at getting worse and worse jobs and not better and better jobs. And so she's putting everything she can into this program to see if she can get somewhere. And we are 100% behind her. She's just an amazing individual. You want to talk about Ted?
Yeah, so Ted is Gren. He is from Burma. He came here 2 years ago, but he is the student that Tim mentioned who studied economics at Yangon University in Burma. He was also working at Sealy, but only for 2 years, and he was laid off this past September, and he is looking for the next opportunity. Now, Sealy actually paid him it was a living wage job, and so in order for him to find a job that is very, similar as far as wage goes or better, he needs to get a high school diploma. So he's really determined to get that right now, but he really likes to work with his hands. And so he's really looking to go into carpentry right now, and he's hoping that this competency-based diploma goes through.
So we have other pictures, but I think at this point, I'm just going to open it up to any other questions that you would like to know before we returned here. Does this sound like something that you want us to continue to pursue? Does it sound of interest? Are there any concerns which you could share tonight, or you could send me emails, and we can keep working on this and be able to bring you back some more information in the coming new year.
And the door is always open if you want to come see what's going on. Wednesday is tomorrow's our last day before break. But if you want to come for some potluck, you could certainly come down in and see some of the projects that we're working on. And then I'm also available, and I would make myself available anytime if you had specific questions or wanted to see the portfolio or anything. We want to make this work.
So the actual pilot would start in January? I'm just trying to figure
Whenever
out the timeline.
whenever we say go. Right now,
Okay.
we're putting everybody through what we would be putting somebody through for a diploma. We feel that the reflective practice of a process of a portfolio, I've been doing this for years with people, and I think it has an amazing possibility for creating a really strong metacognition, a really strong understanding of what you know. And it's been tremendously successful. It's just really hard work to do it. It's hard work on the student's part. It's hard work on the instructors. You have to set aside quite a bit of time to do it. It has to be very intentional. But I used it at a program called Shape, and it was tremendously successful. And and so we're all in on the portfolio. It's been a little bit difficult to get it going in the beginning because it's just the logistics and technology has been challenging. But we're there now. We have every component ready, so we're starting to do a lot of it.
Just thanks for being a leader on this. I'm excited to hear about it.
I'm really excited. It's why I get up in the mornings.
I have a question for you. So you're looking for board approval. What do we need to get from the state for this to be an authorized diploma? It's totally up to this board?
That's what we believe at this point from our original conversations with the board, but we are also having conversations with our attorney to make sure that she sees it the same way. So we're trying, and we have information coming from another school district about how their board went through and approved it.
Which district was it, can I ask?
Hinckley, or it's an area.
Scrag.
Scrag.
St. Croix.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how far along is the state? I mean, do they have a draft plan or anything like that?
The state actually implemented this diploma. So they went down this path towards standardizing the diploma, and they've got it through. We all got it through statute, and it's in play. It's been in play for a couple of years. It's a difficult diploma for a lot of programs to implement because of some of the standards that they chose and how they chose to arrange the standards and the limited ways in which they made it so that people could show that they could accomplish these standards. And so by sticking with competencies, we're able to be a little bit more fluid about the content that we're dealing with, and also in the ways that we show that we can do it. So that was always my intention, and the intention of a lot of the people that were in that first task force was to create something that would be very flexible and could be used at an ALC, could be used at an ABE program, could be used for someone going into a CNA program or a health field, someone who was going into apprentice in manufacturing. So we're focusing specifically on this. It's a very tight pilot, and our goal is to knock out the bends in the road and the bumps, and try to get it so that it's over the next 2 years get a really top-notch program out of this.
And we are also part of the learning process with the state, competency-based, but that's you know,
Yeah, we're working
it's
with. in
probably a
that
2-year
program.
process
Mhm.
for folks to get up and going on that. So we're working with that. We
can
also
show
know
them the
that
way.
people, to say that I got a state diploma versus a school district diploma, some of our students also feel it's more powerful to say, this is where they got educated, this is where they belong.
Mhm.
To get a Roosevelt diploma versus one that says the state has more interest with our students.
So would you compare it to the current adult-based diploma in terms of rigor at the same level, but with more applied demonstration and more variable measurements than just a standard way of measuring it? Would that be fair to say that the rigor level would be comparable?
Yeah, I would say in some ways even higher.
Yeah.
So, in other words, the current statewide standard adult diploma, you could get out of doing all of your social studies and science with a low score, with the minimum score on a GED test. These folks are working on photovoltaic. They're working on heat, geothermal heat pumps. They're working on, they're doing applied science at a very high level and understanding it, and showing that they understand it. So, and also electricity and both DC and AC electricity, and I don't know. There's a lot of things that they're working on that are really rigorous, and they can show it. They can show what they know.
Very exciting work.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Does anybody have any questions or areas they'd like to be explored before we vote on it in January?
No, I think it would be helpful to know, well, you may know this, in the state work that they've done, what they've documented, are there actual competencies that they've identified, or have they left that up to districts to identify the competencies?
It's a very prescribed program.
Okay, right. So then these that are proposed here as attachment A either match or incorporate what is prescribed by the state.
Slightly different, but they're informed by them.
Okay. I guess that's a question. Then maybe it's really what I'd like to hear is the lawyer's opinion as to that this does, even if slightly different, satisfy that. So we can get in trouble down the road with someone saying, "Oh yeah, you meant this one, but that doesn't quite meet that one."
Thank you very much for all your work.
Thank you.
That moves us on to our facilities planning update, and we have Business Services Director Sherry Thompson and Jennifer Anderson-Tuttle from the LSC Architects to provide us update on the construction project.
Good evening. You know how to use
And we've just had Director Johnson join me.
I had one job and I blew it.
power.
Yes. Yes, if you were here today, but you forgot to ask about refrigerators. So we had an eventful.
Yeah, that earlier part of this evening, that you wondered if we could offer a self-regulation class for adults,
That's
Sorry.
okay. So we're on our agenda. We're going to do our facilities planning update.
Yes, good evening. So we have a facility update for you, including updates as far as a little bit on budget and where we're at with high school planning, or with the bid opening that you just approved on your consent agenda earlier this evening. And Jenny has a presentation as soon as this decides it's going to connect. I had problems with it earlier.
Okay, we're
All
right
right.
there. Madam Chair, Superintendent Sicoli, members of the board, we are very pleased to be here tonight with you to share a brief update on projects. The agenda we've outlined for our update tonight, as Sherry Thompson mentioned, starts with an update on the high school project. We'll cover briefly the middle school, Parkview, and table number 4 for tonight with Cross Anderson not here this evening, and then talk a little about next steps. We're particularly excited to be here tonight as you all approved in your consent agenda at the beginning of the evening on December 6th, bid package 2 for the high school was opened. And we're very pleased to say that it came in $6,000 below budget. So a significant feat to bring such a large-scale project in so closely. It was about a $13 million budget for, and Sherry can get into more detail about that, but we would just like to recognize what a task that is for all the input we've received, support from administrators, the district staff, really everyone has been so collaborative and supportive and a part of the solution. And that's just a huge success. I will also just briefly, as Sherry's getting to the consent items, share that moving forward, we do have, as you recall, one additional bid package for the high school project, bid package 3, which will be issued likely in April. We are working with the district and Crouse Anderson, just really kind of as we move forward, refining some timelines as we work on sequencing at the high school. There's a chance there will be an additional bid package, which might help get the auto shop actually in line sooner, which would support the whole middle school project happening as well, right? So these all connect at some point, and we're working through that level of detail now in the projects. But
Right, and that would all be within, the budget parameters. Again, it's just a matter of how we break it up in order to get the work accomplished with our timeline. So I'm just going to make a couple comments as far as the bid package that was approved earlier. As Jenny said, that was within $6,000, and that included our bid alternate. We did do one bid alternate, and that was on the commercial kitchen equipment. We initially put that out as an alternate. It was kind of the wish list of the fac staff, and we weren't sure where we were going to come in bid-wise, so we thought if we needed to do that separately or if we needed to pare that back, so that was originally put in the package as an alternate. And because of the successful bidding, we were able to include that too, the alternate. Also, just a matter, I know the board is interested in this, so I just want to share with you, of the 22 successful bidders, 5 of those are merit contractors, and then the other 17 are have been union shops. So I know that was I know that's something that we've been tracking in light of the project labor agreement, so I wanted to share that with you as well. And I think that that is it. Yeah, the total package was like $13,389,000. So yes, we're well on our way for actual construction of the science wing now, or the science building. So it's very exciting.
very good. If you don't have questions on that, on the middle school, again, we'll provide just a quick update on budget before we get into the design of the project. On the middle school, we issued the schematic design package to Crouse Anderson for pricing on the, I believe it was the 3rd of December, and about 7 days later, Crouse Anderson turned around a very detailed and thorough cost estimate for us, which really helps us keep these projects on budget. And at this point, it looks like with all the scope included, which also includes the some of the programs that were thought to be at Fairview that we shifted over to the middle school, were about $100,000 on under budget on that one.
What was the total budget?
The total is about 17.9, so right around 18 million. So we're keeping it a little big picture at this point. We are working on a full schematic report book that we'll provide to the board for the next meeting, that will have the estimates both for the middle school and for Parkview included. The Parkview estimates we'll be receiving on the 21st. Okay, and then we're looking to move into to issue construction documents in either May or June, and again, that's being determined with all the different bid packages that are going out right now. We have meetings next week to work through that with Crouse Anderson and the district. as we move into the middle school, and I'm going to keep it fairly brief. It's been a long evening for you all, and I will ask that when you want more details, stop me. We'll just, focus in on areas that you would like more. The planning work has been going very well. We've gotten great input from teachers and administrators at the middle school. We have one more design meeting, really, with that group, and that will be with the estimate now in hand. We're ready to move on to that next one, which will be next month. We have refined that site plan and scope. We have now defined, after meetings with your athletic director, the director at the middle school of athletics, the athletic administration team, and the district, that the real desire for this field is for it to be a peat field. And so that is what our current design includes. The track will be planned as a 6-lane clay track, which supports the middle school's use. After digging deeper into this, we really determined the middle school would still plan to go to the high school for their competition games, and so spending that money on a turf field and a full track at this site wasn't going to benefit the school's use, was far in excess of what you might see at a typical middle school. So we think that was a great value-added decision to the district and allowed us to use money on educational programs as well. New ADA access will be included, and then cleaning up that whole bleacher area and some of the approach. On the south end of the site, really the site work is primarily dedicated to accommodating the additions to the building, and so I won't get into those much more unless you have any questions. We have presented plans to you in the past, so again, keeping it brief, we are meeting all of the bond promises and scope items that were discussed early on. We have an addition that you'll see on the lower level that you enter on the main level for your gymnasium addition. We have the red areas here are your CTE spaces, which we've been working on with your curriculum director, Jake, Todd Leeser, who's been involved in that program, and the administrator to really get those honed in so that their curriculum and spaces feed the high school program that's been developed. We have this area is where your new food service, storage, and printing shop will be located in an area that's currently the 3D art space, which is really remnants of when this building was a high school. So repurposing that makes a lot of sense, and the school is really in support of that. We have a special ed suite that's being developed with some components that will really support those spaces, your ASD and DCD classrooms for self-contained programs that will allow students restroom facilities within their own classrooms, quiet calming space within their classrooms as well, and then a more controlled sort of circulation area. Our new science lab renovations include updates to the existing 6 suites, 6 classrooms, plus a new, more flexible classroom. Again, focusing on flexibility with all of these designs when we're able. And I'll share with you an image of a science lab as we get further into this. Art is now focused on the main level, off of the performance area, and a new area that we're really kind of dedicating and trying to put a little into to make it more of a gallery space to feature art. This is that entry into your athletic complex, so you'll have a door into a lobby space that gets you into either your existing gymnasium on the main level or to a main stair and elevator that takes you down to the lower level new gym space. Yes?
Just a question. I'm noticing that there's a lot of things encroaching on the theater, and that's a really big, thriving program at the middle school. Are they losing any space?
Actually, that's a great question, and let me go down to this space to really share some of what, with input from the drama department and in that group, we made some changes to the plan. This area right here has been allocated, and we probably should put a color to it so it can be highlighted. This place, this area is being updated so that it can serve as kind of a dressing and staging area for the theater. Currently, they use the lower level media for that purpose, and we're really dedicating a space for that, while special ed has space that's more secured, and science is using one lab space. So this is a space sufficiently sized to accommodate that need. I should have also mentioned that in this CTE program space, we have a new scene shop. At one point, it was showed as an addition to the theater, but what we've determined is this existing wood shop at 3,000 square feet exceeds what is needed at the middle school, and so we have adequate space to include a scene shop within that footprint. And so we have the same adjacency and access to
I
the
just
theater.
wasn't sure it looked like.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
good point, and we really should probably have a different color for those, so it does highlight it. Other features on the main level include updates to the media center area. This is where your existing Idea Lab is. The Idea Lab is actually being relocated to the lower level as part of the CTE programs so that it can be adjacent to some of the design it, create it, build it sort of spaces, right? So that's a nice synergy we like. That allows this space to be developed as a more flexible learning space that can really serve all students, all staff, function off of the media center. We're showing it right now with an operable wall so that when there isn't a program in that space, it can really be opened up and used as an expansion to the media center as well, as some small group spaces that we're including off of the hallway and the media center. So again, just supporting a variety of learning type spaces and flexibility with that. We have our new administration edition, which creates that safe and secure entry and reorganizes some of the staff so that we have the attendance up front, your assistant principals located in this area, and good visibility. We did want to provide a few images, and so this is a rendering of what those new science labs, when renovated, will look like. We're, again, looking at that perimeter sort of design that gives you the most flexibility. These are actually mobile furniture items as tables, and so, again, you can really rearrange this room in a variety of ways. And then trying to get some borrowed light and windows into these so that, again, people can see the exciting things happening in science and it feels more open. Just another view of a science lab. And then we have a rendering of the new gym. So you can see the multiple gym stations, drop-down basketball hoops, and acoustical treatments planned in that space as well. The exterior design, we've looked at some color schemes and options that have been shared with the committee, and we welcome more input, but really working on developing some warm tones with both precast panels, which will be cost-effective and support a quick construction schedule for the large-scale spaces like the gymnasium, and then metal panels and brick for the others, all complement the existing building materials, the warm sort of terracotta bricks that you currently have. This is just a view of from the front. You can see at the same time both the new front entry, which will have a little higher face and height to it, so bringing more attention to where that main entry is, and then your athletic or performance entry off the other side here.
As I look at that rendering, I'm reminded of the kind of scary exterior steel supports at Fairview. Is that how this is built out here? I can't remember.
This is similar, although these are concrete.
Those are concrete supports, the white supports.
Correct.
Okay.
Which is different.
Yes.
So
It's good.
So yes, similar but different.
Okay.
Fairview, Parkview, and this building all share that same.
From that about that time.
Right, but Fairview is the only one that is the steel on the
okay.
outside. So
Okay. And that was a mistake.
that was a mistake. Parkview, again, we have also gone through those design input input meetings. We'll have one final meeting coming up, and we're waiting for a few other estimates on projects to come through before we get that last meeting scheduled. Construction documents will be planned to go out sometime in March. We're working on a number of design elements related to the pool, primarily focusing on the locker rooms, and a scheme that Kraus Anderson is pricing for us right now includes, you can see the demolition here, really trying to keep it a very cost-effective solution, but address things like equity and contemporary sort of locker room use with private shower rooms and things like this. So you can see these dashed lines. This is your existing wall between the two locker rooms. The sizes are very different between what's called the female and the male. And then you have these giant group shower rooms, right, which nobody likes using.
I love group
Nobody.
shower.
You do? Oh. You're that
Great
guy.
part of my high school education. Sorry.
I'd like that entered into the record.
So sorry, I'm a little distracted. So we get to the proposed plan that's being priced, and this is not, again, final, right? But this is in progress. We're early in schematic design, but what we're liking to share is some more kind of how do you modernize the idea of a locker room. What's proposed here is to create 2 coach locker rooms that can be gender neutral because they have a locker area with private shower restrooms off of those locker rooms, so gender is not necessarily connected to that. It certainly could be because you would have 2, but it wouldn't be necessary. These 2 locker rooms, which are now male and female, could remain male and female and are now the same size and more equitable, or they could be changed and be considered guest and home team locker rooms, because these are not used as phy-ed locker rooms, nor does the middle school use the pool in the curriculum component. You can see in the locker rooms we're showing private showers and a couple individual changing rooms that would have curtains in each of these, as well as sinks and toilets for getting ready. We have not included urinals in the new plan, and that is primarily, again, because these are gender neutral solutions that you could flip-flop, which is male, which is female. It really wouldn't matter. They would be the same.
So this is used really for swimming.
Correct.
Team.
Correct.
Yes.
This is a swimming. This is off the pool. You enter off the hallway, and the other direction it is the pool. So one end takes you to the pool.
So our high school students using this
Yes.
wouldn't use lockers on a daily basis. I mean, wouldn't
Your swim team would
your,
over here.
I mean, a swim team wouldn't have to a swimmer. There wouldn't be assigned a locker that would be always.
There
his
might
or
be
her
during
locker.
swim season. They may
Okay.
during swim season assign all the team members a locker, and the male and female swim seasons are opposite.
Right,
And
okay.
so they don't, that's why you could do home
Yeah,
and guests.
Yeah. Okay.
But it isn't set up so that you would have to do that. Just, again, trying to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So we think we've addressed the equity and gender neutral issues, which we know some districts are in a situation where they have now are needing to provide accommodations. And so this allows those accommodations for that.
And one more question is there any anticipated community use of this pool?
Yes. I mean, no,
No.
I shouldn't say that. No, I'm wrong. That
Yes
is Fairview.
or no?
Yes, I mean no.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for the
No.
community.
There's-
Different
so
pool.
there is,
Yes.
yeah, no community use of this pool
Correct.
whatsoever.
That's Fairview.
Correct.
Yes.
Just, yes, at Fairview.
Karen was having a little bit of a heart attack over there.
I think once in a while there will be for a few things that we can't do at Fairview, or
Yeah.
like saving classes that we have to do at bigger
Yeah.
pool.
Okay, but I'm just wondering from the standpoint of the locker rooms, but I guess they remain so flexible that you could.
Right. And I should also mention you do have a family changing room area now, where you have individual toilet shower areas with a locker locker area. We were showing taking the group shower area out of that and providing one more family locker area, so that supports that use as well, and that gets you the handicap access into the pool. The overall scope at Parkview, again, has remained pretty consistent. We again are waiting on the cost estimate for this. We believe we'll have it by December 21st, and that's when you'll get your books. The primary scope of work is really focusing on the center area where we're on the main level. This is your home
Center-based
sorry, I
programs, yep.
always want to call it home-based. Center-based programs, so DCD classrooms, each with their own restroom and small group breakout space, and then that I guess the center-based is here, which is EBD focus, and then you have your ASD and DCD program here. We have your new main entry with the administration edition, and that's what's allowing us to redo the existing admin to create the DCD. The new friendship connection space is a little different than what was shown in the bond. We really, in working with the school, determined that the stage off of the gym between the gym and the cafeteria was an ideal space for friendship connection. We are taking out the stage. Right now they use it as a DAPE space, and it is not handicap accessible, so they carry students up to the stage, which is a practice that we're going to help eliminate by lowering the floor, making that a handicap accessible space. And for friendship connection, couldn't be a better proximity. They're close to the front entry and right between the two large spaces that they use most in the school. So it is ideal for that. On the main level, then on the upper level, really some upgrades to the media center. We have the new science. So this is your primary grade wing with your K5 science or K6, and then your 7-8 science near the middle school wing. And then we'll be doing some more cosmetic kind of upgrades to the spaces that have moved out of that. That makes these more focal, more visible, and central to all the students. We would be, right now we're showing a layout very similar to what we shared with you at the middle school. So these are equitable science labs for the middle school, and then at the elementary, really using some of the kind of maker spaces as a guide for this space. We're working on some additional site options at Parkview, but really the goal is, again, to get curb cuts further apart from each other, and we've worked on an exterior design that really tries to bring, again, that front entry further out, make it a very clear path. We are arranging for the sky to always be a beautiful tangerine against a blue. And just trying to keep it simple, again, cost effective and simple, and in keeping with the existing building.
Some steps in the fields, and when you go down on the sled, it's easier to get back up.
Oh, well, that's a good idea. A little tow rope, or
Yeah, that's tow rope.
Many people appreciate that.
just an example of that, again, to see as very similar science classrooms, so knowing that equity for these students is going to be important, and then some exterior elevations. The last thing we really wanted to hit on, unless you have questions on any of those, we were asked to look at the Brim Hall site plans. We had two options developed, shared those with Principal Bussman and Director Shaw, and got some input. And I can share that, and I believe there was a meeting also earlier today. Todd Leeser's been involved, and Sherry has been involved. We are looking right now at developing a proposal request to relocate the playground to the area directly adjacent to the hard play, so that for supervision, all of those play areas are north of the gym. There was concern that with one staff member doing supervision, they would not be able to see both areas. That will leave more green space down in this area, and this can all be contiguous green space. So again, this is used primarily for Phi Ed, and this is used primarily for recess. So
where does the playground go now?
The playground will go in this general area. So when we developed these options, we didn't have it in the spot, but in working with people more and getting more input, you'll see next the revised plan, and we'll have pricing associated with that. That's really the conclusion of the presentation, unless you have questions. Any questions?
Just a general comment, and I think I mentioned this at the DOT meeting last week, that I continue to be impressed that we keep hearing the phrase on budget or under budget. I mean, it's very important to the community, it's important to the taxpayers, but I mean, I continue to be impressed that we're staying within the budget, so thank you.
Thank you. And the district's been a huge part of that, right? I mean, looking at solutions and making that a priority as well, so.
Yes, we have a very good team, I think, all the way around. I think it's been going very well.
Great. It is exciting to see how things are going, and things seem to be progressing so smoothly. It's exciting to see.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming in and for your patience and waiting until we could get to you. The next item we have is a new proposed policy 209, board operating procedures and meeting process revised. And this evening would be the first reading, and Dr. Sicoli is going to take us through this.
Yes, so in the first reading, the proposed changes just really in two areas. Under 1.0, just flipping agenda adjustments and community input to reflect what we currently do at board meetings. And then as we look at section 7.4, just adding the phrase request and a response, that there would be a response provided within 2 weeks to those during the community input phase who have requested a response.
Is there any comments or discussion? Okay. That moves us to school board goals. At our last, in November, we had an opportunity to talk about kind of what was occurring in terms of our board, evaluating our board, and what strengths we had and what weaknesses or opportunities we saw in comparison to the job description that's published by the Minnesota School Board Association. We had some great conversations, and part of that, one of the outcomes we discussed there is we wanted to make sure we had board goals for this coming year. So we put some time on the agenda for a conversation around that. And I did have an opportunity to send to board members past goals, a number of the past goals, the ones that I had electronically, so people could look at some of the past things that the boards have worked on for goals. Would anybody like to start with some thoughts on what they think our goals should be?
I was looking at the 2017 board goals that you sent. I actually printed them off. And I think that they're similar. What's great is that we've gone a little step further. For example, approve a 2017-2018 budget that meets our students' needs and targeted progress and decreasing unassigned fund balance. I feel like that could be one again. I know that maintaining a fund balance, that we have a goal for it. I think that would be a good thing to continue. Additionally, unless somebody else wants to pop in, I have another idea.
Well, why don't we just put them all out on the table and then we'll have a conversation?
Number 3 on that one was help lead development of a plan that addresses the district's facility priorities and obtains funding. We did that.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to help, and I can't think of the word that I'm looking for. It's not monitor. It's the word I'm looking for. The
Oversee?
progress. Oversee the progress, yeah.
Oversight, yeah. Continuing projects, yeah.
And then the other one we had was support district strategic efforts to facilitate deeper understanding of community perspectives, including those of students. I think how I would change it if it were me was with helping oversee is continuing to involve the community in the process.
You mean as part of your number 3?
Pardon?
As part of your number 3?
Yeah, well, so then I only have 2. Or, yeah, it's just 2 suggestions.
I'm sorry, I have 3 suggestions. How did I miss that?
Oh, I was thinking of combining that, helping oversee and also involving the community, but that could be 2 separate things, but to me they're the same because they're about our facilities.
Oh, so the both of those to be
Yeah,
facilities
facility.
related?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're kind of 2 for 1.
Okay.
'Tis the season for 2 for 1s.
Okay. Anybody else would like to propose some potential goals?
So when I thought of, and we're doing it, so I don't know if it's a goal or what, but it has to do with our acting, participating and acting as liaisons as we are to various groups, committees, task forces, all that kind of stuff. We have our schools, we have the various advisory groups we're part of. It's just the goal is to attend those, be part of it, be seen as an active conduit, between those groups.
So that was on, what was it, 2012 goals or something back there?
One of the
and,
earlier ones that kind of fell off.
Well, and to be honest, the number of things this board attends is considerably higher than it's traditionally been. I mean, this board has been really active out there in the community. Okay, anything else you'd like to add?
No, just that.
Anything you'd like to add for consideration?
No, I think what Aaron says is great.
Okay. Todd?
I mean, I agree. The only other thing that I would add is, I know we discussed at the last board meeting, where we discussed the possibility of reading like some book or an opportunity to have something. I think you had a great idea of, reading something that would help us engage in discussion with us at a special retreat or study session where we're working together. And we're understanding where we're all coming from better, but I think that helps strengthen us as a board. Maybe something like that. I don't know when, but maybe we read something or study something
and then get together.
Have a group discussion. Yeah. So I think the circles we've done, the brief restorative circles, I think have been valuable. Maybe something expanding off of that.
So the specific topic or content could be determined.
Yeah, it could be determined later.
But at least one annual kind of board enrichment retreat.
Yeah, something like that
for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's a good
Can you move about the Equity Alliance PD?
Yep. And I'll let Curtis speak, and then that's on my list, actually. Okay.
Okay. I sent my hand in to
Yes, but since you're here, we can have you represent it in person.
Okay. In general, it's kind of jumps off Aaron's last one. We do a lot community-wise, and so the thing that I would like to propose is that we look into finding additional ways to bring to get our message out to the community and let the community interact with us. And that may be via social media. That may be via any number of ideas that I haven't thought of. Fortunately, I did talk to Carrie Ardito. Thank you, Alden. And so the two of us are going to get together in the next couple weeks, just to kind of put our heads together and propose something, to the board, and then we can kind of go from there. But just trying to build on what on the good things that we're doing now.
Okay. I had a couple of thoughts. I went back and I reread our discussion notes that I had made from the November meeting, and a couple things popped out to me from that. One of them was around doing something around training, and we had, I think, two different elements that came out. One was potentially having some topics that are meaty that come up in our board meetings, that we could have a circle discussion around those topics to be able to understand and really kind of have some interaction and learning of how our board members are processing the information and thinking about that as well. And then the other one was to actually do some training. And the Equity Alliance, I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at the training that Equity Alliance was proposing, but it's 3 sessions, and it really will go into some depth in thinking about equity, thinking about implicit bias, thinking about our roles, how it goes into the board table, and a lot of the really some, I think, very useful topics around equity, if that would be of interest and feasible for the group. I don't know. That is 3 evenings, and it builds on each other. So that's 2 of the ideas. And then the third one was, as I was looking at some of our conversation There was some interest from the board in trying to understand some of the best practices that are out there better. And so one thought could be that we make a commitment that each of us will attend some education-related event to learn more about some of the practices going on in other districts, and then share that back at the board table so that we could all benefit and learn from that. So those were the three thoughts that I had.
Could you be more specific about the education events at other districts?
Oh, not at other districts. So perhaps go to like the Reimagine sessions that they're having where other districts are presenting, or go to Minnesota School Board Association conference, or go to the some of the indigenous peoples conferences, or other things that might be out there. We all have somewhat different interests. But bring that learning back, and maybe even make it a little bit more sharing than just a 30-second or 1-minute board report. If the group feels strongly about that. That was one that came kind of out of the discussion as something. So I guess they're all three related to board development, which seemed to develop our ability to either understand each other from circles, or doing board training around equity, and really what does that mean, and how do we live it, and how do we understand ourselves better able to do that? Because obviously in order to widen our lens that we look at the world, we have to widen our experiences, and it provides us an opportunity to look at our own implicit biases, etc. And then the third one was if we wanted to commit to going to something related, like yours maybe around teaching, or that you could share them with the board, or other areas. So we have a lot of different ideas out here on the table. Does anybody have any thoughts on how we want to pull that together? Well, I think one area that I hear kind of was mentioned by a number of people, and certainly was in our conversation, was we should do something around development, our own development. I think now whether we want to make that 1 or 2 goals around that. So I think I heard a couple of different ideas. One was what's discussed at a book reading or study session, engaging in discussion in circles, which is very similar, I think, to what one of the thoughts that I had as well. And then another key area I think I'm hearing is something around the community. And Mike kind of brought out, making sure we continue to participate liaisons and goal to be active conduits. And Curtis had a thought in terms of some potentially proposing some additional ways to build out that area. So it seems like that community connection is clearly very important. Then the budget and facilities. Do we want to put that in our goals, or is that how we support the strategic plan? Because the facilities is in the strategic plan, and our support of that is there. Certainly the fund balance continues to be a challenge, so that could, is not one that says directly in the strategic plan. I'm just I'm hoping you're going to react here. I'm just throwing some things out and seeing what sticks, what kind of nods I get here.
I've always thought the board goals are kind of odd in a way, because I don't want it to be too board centric, because that seems weird, because we're not here to promote ourselves, really. And we are here to educate ourselves, but we're really here more to do our job, which is to oversee policy and things. So if it's too board centric, that makes me feel a little, but at the same time, yeah, we do. We approve budgets, and we look at things, and we have conversations, and we approve contracts. So I do think that we have something to do with the unassigned fund balance. I do think that we have oversight to that, and I do think we have oversight to facilities planning too. I know that it's not exactly under our purview, like we're not going out there with shovels, but I do think that it is our responsibility.
No, I would say that the whole strategic plan is ultimately our responsibility.
So what I'll do is I'll give you an opinion, so you're not just sitting there with crickets. I think we should have 3 goals, 1 board-centric, 2 non-board-centric.
All right.
There I go.
So if we have 1 around community.
So that's 3, right? Okay.
Community
One-
would be non-board centric.
That's
Yes.
non-board centric. And that would
By
be a
definition.
combination
By
of
definition.
Mike's and Curtis's.
Right. Yep.
And if we have one that's board-centric around our own
Or development.
development,
Tree, board of addiction, or
And then
Yeah.
maybe we need 2 more, one on fund balance and one on facilities. Those are really 2 big things. And
Those are non-board centric.
they are non-board centric.
so 5 total.
That'd be 4. Community,
no, we can have as many as we want. I mean,
board.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with those, I just think those are givens.
I think going to community events is givens.
Yeah, well.
You know,
Fair point.
you don't want to make a goal of something you already do.
People do that all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. You know.
It's like when I make a list after I do something so I can cross it off.
Yeah. Because, this is this board this year, but future boards in future years, these will be kind of like templates that people will look back at. We're just holding to see in 3 years, and 10 years, and 20 years. It's not us.
Mhm.
So, I don't think it's a waste to put a goal around stuff that we're even doing, like community involvement. Because it just says it's an official standard. And yeah, we're already meeting it, but I don't think it's wrong to document.
It's always good to have some actionable items that we're looking at.
I think if we don't have a goal about thinking if somebody was to look up, what are the goals of the Roseville Area Schools School Board? Oh, they don't have anything about all this facilities planning or budget. Oh, that's interesting. I think that's one of the reasons I think we should.
That's got to stay on there.
Yeah.
Well, see, to me, I think of our strategic plan. I mean, to me, the board has to own the strategic plan. Now, we have elements we're directly responsible for, and elements we're more indirectly. But ultimately, we own the strategic plan. So, I mean, we have to have something about achievement in there. I mean, these board goals don't have anything about achievement. So, thinking that this is holistic, representing what the board's work is, to me, is it's never going to be that, or it's going to repeat the whole strategic plan, which is then what's the purpose of them?
So you don't want to put anything about facilities or budget? Is that
I don't have a problem with it, because I do think those are things we do, but I think we also have a responsibility around improving, closing the educational gap, which is a huge goal we have as a district. Do I think that's more, as a board we have more direct responsibility for facilities oversight than we have responsibility for educational results oversight? I guess I don't see our responsibility
I
as
feel like
different.
we do actually have more control over facilities and budget than we do over education, the opportunity gap. As board members, I do. I think that I'm not saying that it's any less important, my goodness, but I do think when it comes down to it, we approve budgets, we've helped with getting, the facilities planning, and we see all sorts of things about how they're closing an achievement, but I'm not sure if we have as direct of an impact on that as a board.
Well, see, I would say we do, because we budget what money goes for it and how we spend the money.
And I don't really care.
But that's
honestly,
and just,
I'm good with any board goals. I just told my opinion so that there was something
and
out
that's
there. I don't
great.
really, I'm good with anything.
And I wasn't
I think we're
trying to
talking
get us
about
away from
maybe
there. I
some
just didn't want these goals to represent everything we do as a board, because if they did,
Okay.
then I feel like we've got to add a lot.
I agree. Okay, so the only thing I would, for context, my understanding is that these are the goals for 2019.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so for 2019, in this particular case, facilities, because of where we are, facilities is a little
Huge.
higher up on the food chain right now, that we have to, that we really should be paying attention to that and monitoring that with a closer eye, because we've got hundreds of millions of dollars that we are directly responsible for. So that being the case, I think it makes more sense then to put that into a 2019 goal. This is not to say that we're not going to be working on equity or any number of other things. So
That's a good point, and the fund balance is certainly a challenge right now too.
yeah, so
a I see that as a permanent goal. We're always working on the strategic plan. We're always working on equity. That's every minute of every day. I think we're trying to zero in on some other specific things besides strategic plan that are getting to various things that we want at the end of the year either check off or how did we do?
Or specific things that within the strategic plan.
Yeah, or pulling out something maybe, yeah.
So what's the actual goal then around facilities? Is it to ensure that the facility planning proceeds within budget and on time? Because we could influence that. We could mandate or vote certain things in, out, or whatever. So ensuring.
The one part I would like to see that comment then would be, and fulfills the community, the promise, the community promise. So ensure facilities planning proceeds on budget, on time, and fulfills promises to the community.
And then the fund balance, if there's a fund balance goal, if we specifically call out the fund balance.
Unassigned fund balance. Or unassigned fund balance, the reserve.
Right.
That, I mean, has always been a goal of ours. Right. To get that up to a certain
To 3%
level.
or whatever it is. I guess my question there is it a process goal or an outcome goal? Because if something happens and we're not able to achieve it, then we failed. If we don't meet the 3%, and then at the end of the year, are we taking stuff away from Peter to pay the Paul of the? You know what I mean? So I don't know if I'm not sure I agree with having a specific fund balance goal other than what's already part of our.
Keep the percentage out, and it's something
that's
we continue to work on. Yeah, it's something that we continue to
Continue to work towards
Or can we say at least maintain? Or, so how do we want to work that? Is that comfortable?
Yes, I would prefer maintain at this point.
Okay, so to at least maintain and hopefully grow the fund balance?
Because of the connection that was pointed out earlier between both amount and how you allocate resources towards educational outcomes. There is a connection.
Yeah.
The way that this one is written is nice. It says it meets our students' needs and maintains.
Okay.
I like that it meets our student needs.
Can you read it to me then, so I can
It
get this
says
right?
approve a 2018-2019 budget or whatever it would be that meets our students' needs. And then this one says untargeted progress in increasing unassigned fund balance, which is not very well written. I would say meets our students' needs and perhaps maintains an unassigned fund, maintains unassigned fund balance levels or something like that.
Okay. So it maintains / grows the unassigned fund balance? Okay, great. Okay, that's certainly, all right. For community, so how would we want to word the community one? We certainly want to continue. I mean, basically, when we're asked, when we know of something in the district, I don't know of any time we haven't at least had one person attend. Like there was the group of Somali parents that we got somebody to. There was the friendship connection. I mean, everything that we've been invited to my knowledge, we've attended somebody else that I can think of, unless I'm forgetting something. So maybe that's our goal, is to continue to attend all district outreach events where board members are invited and can seek additional opportunities.
To explore new ways.
Okay. So to attend all.
I wouldn't put all in there.
You're probably right. Understand.
As many as possible.
Attend.
Hey, we want a challenge for next year. Come on.
Okay.
We want a
Attend
challenge.
as many.
I don't know if everyone uses
We can do it.
all, never.
I agree.
Also.
And how did you word it? You said something nice. And
Continue to explore
and
new avenues to wanting to
Chris's point of
explore new outreach opportunities.
Right.
Um, Do we want to say anything about particularly with underrepresented communities or underreached communities? I don't know. I'm asking. I don't mean to drive it. Doesn't seem much appetite for that. So you want to be more general?
I don't have a feeling one way or another.
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay.
It goes without saying, we do that.
Yeah, we try to, very much. That's what I was thinking. Okay, then the last goal we have is our development one. What do we want to state about development?
What was it you said? That was good. Something retreat.
Enrichment retreat.
Read a book.
Okay,
we
so
read a book,
that's,
we see a movie.
so there's not a lot of interest in attending the Equity Alliance training?
Oh, no, no.
I still might go to.
Yeah,
that's two of those.
that's something that we would do that's created by a different entity. I think
Yeah, but us going there is a commitment. That's
it
a goal
is,
to
right,
me.
That's true. But that in addition to that,
Oh,
do we take a Saturday morning and before it, we've all read whatever it is we're supposed to read, or decide what we want to read, and then get together and talk about it just among ourselves.
That's what I was
Not-
thinking, yeah.
Like just us, not a
Donuts, coffee,
part of a
Saturday
program,
morning
right,
deal.
exactly. Okay.
Okay. So we're
Making
going to try to
donuts.
attend the Equity Alliance? Can people make it? I mean, I tried to send you the dates so you
Yeah.
can see if that's
Can you refresh me
feasible.
the dates again?
Unfortunately, I
Or I
didn't bring
can
that
look-
with
I
me.
can look
I'm
later.
sorry. There's a date in February, a date in March, and a date in April.
I think it was the
Space
16th, 16th, and
I
19th.
fully intend to attend.
Yeah, they're on
Many.
Tuesdays, but not our board
February
nights.
19th, March 19th, and April 16th.
Yeah. I'm going to do my best to attend.
Oh, is that something you would want me at, or prefer that I not be at? I don't know if it's designed for.
It's designed for
supervisors
anybody.
or is it-
Yeah, anybody from the cabinet would be welcome if they're interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to try for that?
Yes.
Okay, great, okay.
You are doing the constituent conversation thing. Did you were able to accept that invitation to be the?
Yeah, she's already.
Huh?
Already started.
Okay.
Constituent conversation.
Where everybody sits, you and.
You mean the League- you mean the
in
League of Women
January.
Voters?
Yes,
The League of
yes,
Women
yes,
Voters?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I
So-
saw you'd been invited. I didn't see the.
Oh, yeah, they sent it back a month ago or so. The league always has one in January. Unfortunately, in the past, it's sometimes been on board night, in which case then we haven't had a rep there. But, okay, so we're going to try for the Equity Alliance training. Maybe we could each check our calendars and let Michelle know. And if we have to miss one, perhaps others can bring that person up to speed who was there, because, 3 nights, I know the likelihood of everybody making every one of those is going to be tough. Do we want to say something about a commitment to have a circle conversation about 2 meaty subjects over the next year? People seem pretty excited about the circle group.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that.
And that to me is the format. The key is to have some enrichment event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be a circle, could be a square.
Okay, so how many things though? I want to make sure
That's,
that
we got 3, and I don't know if we want to do those.
I don't, because
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we're still, because we have all of our business too of the board. And when the meetings get long, I'm not always my best. So I want to make sure, I want to make sure I'm
that's
giving
fair.
my energy to the board
Right.
business.
Yep.
So I would like to suggest that maybe we don't put it in as our goals. We can maybe make it a goal, but if we put it in writing, I don't know, maybe
You mean the
it's
equity?
fine.
You mean the equity alliance?
Which one?
All the equity, so now we've got a book study, Equity Alliance, and circle conversations?
Maybe limit it to one board enrichment
Yeah,
session.
but
on
I
a
mean, I
Saturday.
don't speak for the board. If everybody else wants to put them in there, that's your business.
And the book thing could be a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well could be.
And,
That's how we could run it. That
My
could be the format of
imagination,
it.
my
Yeah,
imagining
yeah,
of
that
it
could be the
was
format.
Saturday, and we all kind of get together.
Yeah.
Read some stuff that we thought
was cool, just talking
Yeah.
about it, sharing and learning about it.
We did that a couple other times too, where we'd have like a couple study sessions where we talked about a book.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was useful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm hearing we don't want three things. What do we want of those three things in the sentence? Do we want any of them? Or what are we saying?
I don't know that we
A
need.
board enrichment activity.
Okay, so we commit
Commit to a board
Commit to that,
enrichment
yeah.
activity, I think that's great. So you're right like that.
Yep.
to a board enrichment activity. To at least one board activity.
Yes, right.
Because potentially we're going to do, okay, one board enrichment activity. Okay. And I will put these together. I will send it to the group. Please do not reply to me directly. Any feedback to those, if I haven't captured it quite right, if you could send it to Michelle, she will compile it all for all of us, and then we will see that prior to our January meeting. And at the January meeting, we can make any changes we want before we approve them as our board goals for 19. Does that sound like a good process?
Yep, thank you.
Well, thank you for the discussion. And I love that we interact and we say what we believe, but we end up, pulling it together.
Yeah,
That's great.
that's good.
Thank you. Okay, so that finishes the board goals. Action items. We move to our action items for this evening. We have two action items. The first is the final levy certification. And our business services director, Sherry Thompson, will take us through this.
Yes, good evening again. So yes, we are looking for final certification of the 2018 payable 2019 levy. We did hold our annual truth and taxation hearing at 6 o'clock this evening. I don't have any additional comments related to the levy, so unless there are any questions from the board.
One of the things, I have a question for you. As we were going through that, the percent change indicated, that you indicated overall was the 6.52%. But the examples that you gave for each of the different households, none of them had that large a gain in taxes. So is there something negating part of that gain?
Yeah, so part of it is, our levy has grown due to enrollment and other things, but at the same time, our tax base is growing as well. So while so unless someone's tax value goes up at a higher rate than the actual growth in the tax base, and that's why when we went through some of a lot of the properties, right, there'd be maybe a 8% increase in value, and but the taxes would go up 2%, even though ours, because it does, the whole tax base has a large impact too. So, it's the tax base overall has an impact. The particular specific parcel, the growth, and the or increase or change, because it could be decrease too, and assessed value makes a difference, and then also our overall levy.
Okay, because on these ones, the increase was, 4 of the 5 actually went down in taxes.
Yes, so actually, even though our levy increased, if the tax value, if the property or tax value of the property stayed the same, your school tax went down slightly. It's just that rare occurrence where that your value stays the same from year to year.
Okay.
That's a home in Roseville, rather, because again, you can see. Picking that up with me. Some of the changes in the tax base and median home value varies from within different communities.
Okay.
So on page 13 of the handout, if you look at that again, it's on the bottom of that in the handout. It's compare the valuation changes on median home values for each of our communities.
Okay.
Like Arden Hills, that percentage, the change in value went up 3.9%, but the impact with the school taxes was minus, it was just almost 0.2%.
My taxes went up substantially, so maybe you should follow my house.
Actually, I will. I will follow your. I'd be happy to.
I mean, not more than 6.5.
Right.
But
So-
in that ballpark.
But I do think that's a good reminder that, as Sherry pointed out in the Truth in Taxation hearing, these are 5 houses the district has tracked for approximately 20 years. So she didn't handpick certain kind of examples to give
We just have the
range
same
of
ones.
possibilities. They're just the ones we have tracked. So it's wonderful.
And I think it's always, as we make these decisions, we have to keep in mind that our community has a lot of people on fixed income, and it's always a difficult decision when we feel there's a need to increase the taxes in order to provide the quality of schools we're trying to deliver. And I just want to just mention that publicly, and we've certainly had some people this evening who were of fixed means and were concerned about the taxes. And that's always a consideration that I know each of us thinks about seriously. And just want to make sure that that's verbalized, not just something we internally do each.
Yes, and just for board members' information, I did follow up with one of the parties after the hearing, and I am going to follow up with her tomorrow and kind of break down, assist her. If it's not something you look at all the time, you see that form like once or twice a year. Yes, she was open to that, and just kind of even looking at the impact of overall with both, with the city, county, and the school district, and that valuation change.
And just to realize that to folks that weren't able to see or attend the Truth in Taxation hearing, what that's a follow-up on is, Sherry, your invitation to those who live in the district, that if they want to contact you, you're more than willing to help them just go through and really tease out and understand the mechanics of their tax bills and what the meaning is really behind it, what each tax is.
Yes, absolutely. And I do get calls periodically, so it's not something out of the ordinary. I don't get a lot of calls, but usually that's the easiest way, to do it. And of course, even the property tax information is public information, so they give me their information and I just pull it off the Ramsey County website and we walk through it.
It's nice to do that because the tax bills, the way they're written, to a lot of people aren't very easily understandable.
No, they're not.
Worded, so.
But it's also worth noting that you also go through the property tax relief opportunities and avenues out there for folks who have limited incomes, a way to get some of that maximum relief too.
Yeah, because it really can be a challenge.
Yeah,
that
it can be very
increase.
confusing, especially when your valuation goes back, what comes from valuation versus what comes from the
Correct.
city and the county and the state school board.
Sherry, we authorize maximum levy generally earlier in the season, and that's what's reflected in the papers that are mailed out at this time of year.
Correct.
Which will be different, and to what extent will they be different when they're mailed out in March for the actual May payment?
Well, in this case, because we were able to get all of the adjustments in, so they should be very close to what you're certifying tonight is comparable to that maximum.
Okay.
Because we were able, you didn't have a referendum, and we were able to get all of those adjustments in, because we try to do the maximum in September, because occasionally there are still some adjustments that are coming through from MDE, and then we get to the real number in December. But you're right; those tax statements, proposed statements, are based on what you do in September. But this year, those align very closely.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the levy as written here.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
That brings us to our last action item. We have policy 636, special education related services. This is a second reading, and Dr. Sicoli will take us through.
Yes, so Assistant Director of Student Services, Jolene Moore, reviewed this with you at the last school board meeting, and really the paragraph on general statement of policy is the big change, along with the phrase at the start, the purpose of this policy. So I don't believe there were any suggestions, so this is as you saw it at the last meeting.
I have a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, we've unanimously approved that. That moves us on to board reports. Do we have any board reports this evening?
A couple things real quick.
Go ahead.
Great. I did attend the Gift of Talent Advisory Committee a couple weeks ago. Again, we're a robust group of parents and educators from our various schools who parents have kids who have been identified as appropriate for GTAC programs, and or the teachers at the sites that are responsible for helping them with their learning experiences. Just a lot of good things going on there. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. The one question they did have, and I think Trina Hara, the educator who's the liaison or head of that group, is going to try to work with Carrie and others to improve some of the communication of the opportunities and programs for kids who need a little extra challenge, a little extra challenge to get out there. So some of the parents did say that they only learned about something after it was too late to have their kids become part of it. So that was like one small request in the midst of a very positive meeting. I think things are going pretty well there. Also, I was very pleased to see there were two students who are part of the committee who have committed to make it to each of the meetings, and they provided some valuable input in terms of how things look from their perspective, and what they enjoy taking part in and all of that. So it seems that Roseville that our district is doing a good job and improving on the job it's doing already on trying to identify and help those kids with that special thing. They need to be challenged kind of over. Second thing, from Equity Alliance Minnesota, formerly EMID, we do have the candidate list finalized, and we're actually going to have the first evening of interviews for the new executive director to replace Dr. Lepke, when she retires in the spring on the 7th of January, I believe, the day before our first January board meeting. So, and if a second evening of interviews is necessary, it will be the night after our Roseville area board meeting, and if there's a third night, it'll be the night after that. So it could very well be that it's wrapped up the first night. So I have some more news around the executive director at our first January meeting that I could report out. So the process is moving along okay. And, I don't remember if last time I think we got close to 20 valid, bona fide applicants that Ken LaCroix, the consultant that we hired to help us with the process, could receive is willing to get an annual management level. So pretty positive process.
Okay, I have my 916 board report. We had our meeting on December 10th. It's really a lot of numbers. You would have really enjoyed it, Frank. It started with an audit report, and they look good. We also had our self-evaluation. We talked about board norms. And then we had a big budget update. And what was interesting is that 916 is doing very well with money, and they actually were under budget. How does that work? Yeah, because they are so many vacancies with special ed teachers, so it's not a good thing. They're having a hard time filling all those vacancies, which means that there's waiting lists then. So it's a real process, but just something to keep in mind that there's such a shortage of special ed teachers and special ed paras that they have tens of positions that aren't filled. And so if we have any students from our district that are on a waiting list, that might be very well the reason. Also, just a added little thing, I took a class, an online little graduate class on teaching diverse strategies to diverse learners, and there was a lot of really interesting things in it, you know, about practicing reading and writing and all the things you would normally think. There's a very large section about tracking and how it disproportionately has a negative impact on students of color and students of lower income. So I thought maybe I'd photocopy it for you so you could take a peek at it. But just something to always keep in mind when we're thinking about our vision and things is there's a lot of things out there for us to learn and study. So just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Association of Metropolitan School Districts. Great meeting. It was all around the legislative session that is coming upon us. We all got handouts about effective legislative advocacy guide, establishing relationships, maintaining relationships with legislators, and that led to kind of a date to get on our calendars is the annual AMSD session preview, which is Friday, January 4th, at the Cora Education Center, in Little Canada. Senator Chuck Uyghur, who represents much of our district, is going to be one of the panelists. Some of our other area local legislators will be there, but that's always a great one to not miss.
Where's it going to be again?
Oh, it's at the. We're no longer meeting at Ties.
Oh,
it's now that Cora Education Center in Little Canada on
That old
B2.
Capitol Hill building.
It's the old Capitol Hill building. Yeah.
The old Capitol Hill.
Yeah, the old Capitol Hill building. Yeah, but they've made
Capitol View.
Capitol View. Sorry, Capitol View. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's now the Core Education Center. Yeah, and it's going to be from 7:30 to 10. So it's always a fabulous legislative session preview. And then one of the highlights from AMSD that meeting was that I don't think AMSD had their own day at the Capitol last year. But they have a day at the Capitol this year, Thursday, February 21st. I'm going to make a personal goal of trying to somehow get time off from work to go that day, but I really want to. That all has to be fleshed out yet, but I hope to meet with some, obviously, our local legislators, and there are going to be speakers there, but I definitely want to go, and I hope some of us can all go together or whatever. But
That's
again,
the 1st of February?
Thursday, February 21st.
Oh,
Thursday, February
Thursday.
21st. AMSD has their actual day at the Capitol. Okay, so that's something I've been looking forward to. And then just really quick, Director Johnson and I had an opportunity recently to attend a meeting of the Ramsey County League of Local Governments. And the theme that night was we heard from a Ramsey County official who talked about the upcoming legislative session, changes at the Capitol, how it involves there's some state representatives from Ramsey County who will be taking over key committee positions. So I mean, it was a fabulous discussion last night. Got to see the new Cedar Home golf course clubhouse.
So is that the one just the week where also is that the one where RCLG also shared its own internal strategic plan for how it wants to?
I think there were some organizing aspects. I had to leave, but I know that the meeting I think went into some of those organizing aspects.
I'm just curious about how that.
If you stayed for that.
Well, I was. It happened before.
Oh, before.
Yeah. So yeah. I was. Are you done?
Sorry. Yeah. No,
Okay. Good.
I'm done.
In that case, I'll just
yeah.
back
Go
on
ahead.
that. Yeah. There was a meeting beforehand that introduced a new strategic plan. There was an election of officers, and the Ramsey County League of Local Governments has needed a little direction, and it looks like they may have found some. So the future is quite optimistic. There are a bunch of sub-communities now trying to figure out exactly what we're going to do, and I've signed up on communications. So it's going to be better this year. That's really all I can say about that. So. But yeah, so one of their big things is when they get something on the calendar, actually have the event. Not do that. So see, okay. So other things we did. December is Roseville area schools. Did I mention we have a great music program? But we also have like 20 concerts in like 21 days. I've been to a lot of them, so I'm not going to bore you with every single one of them. But we've got some like crazy talented kids and some very talented people leading them, and so it is a pleasure always to see what they come up with next. And so the last thing I have is I was able to attend the Central Park groundbreaking on a very cold day with Dr. Scully, and but the kids were out there and they were just so excited. Oh, and I'm sorry, Frank, you were there too, and it was just amazing, and Frank did this amazing poem, and it was great. And I did not know you graduated from there, so that was pretty cool.
Graduate from Central Park?
Did you? You said you did.
No, what I said was that when Central Park was built, I was in 6th grade, but I was a long way from here.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. But still, great poem. Yeah, have them read it to you sometime.
It was fun.
And that's all I got right now.
Seems to be the legislative agenda is the theme of our updates tonight.
Sorry.
MSBA has these kind of discussion sessions once a month at different places around the cities, and this time was at Roseville Area Schools at Fairview Community Center, and I had an opportunity to go. And I have a copy for everybody of the legislative platform that MSBA has that came out of the session I know you folks have hoped to get to. And their top 2 items are very similar to what we had. The general education formula was really high. It appears that most groups are asking for a 3% each year. That is consistent, I guess, with other platforms that are being put together. And that special education funding is the other one that really gets dominated. Some of the groups were sharing kind of what their best practices were in their district to communicate. Some host, like breakfasts with the legislatures from their areas. Others have kind of the legislators are invited in for various activities for the school district to discuss their priorities and status and needs. Some of the groups, particularly in Okehennepin, had a huge group of legislators they have to work with, so it sounded like a very interesting challenge that they've had really good participation by the legislatures. But all of them were going down and talking to the legislators. The MSD date was mentioned, but there's also MSB has a day at the Capitol, and that's March 25th. That happens to be a date that works for people. I asked a bit about legislative action committees because that came up at our discussion, and some have them, some don't. The ones that do have them find it very valuable to set up front what are the core operating, or what's the core process and the values that the group is going to operate under for them to be successful. Since we had a discussion, I thought it was a great opportunity to get a little more insight about them. So that's my update. Dr. Sokol.
I'd like to highlight a couple things. Once again, thank our community for passing the bond referendum in November of 2017, and that was a big tax increase. But it will result in some really good remodeling of our buildings and additional space, which we need with our increasing student enrollment. Things are progressing well, I'm happy to say, and we had, through the planning process leading up to the referendum, commitments of what would get done, the projects, and right now we are on target for delivering on those commitments, and we are on budget and also on our timeline. So I think things are going very well. Obviously, some schools things are You can see the progress at Little Canada Elementary School and Roseville Area High School. Other schools are getting started, and then other schools were in the planning stages, but it's all going well, and so I'm very thankful to the community. I would also like to thank some students, leaders and training students who they organized and facilitated an ISD session, Intentional Social Interaction, at Roseville Area High School on December 6th, and they did a wonderful job with it. The topic was bridging the generational gap. And we had people there from a number of generations and some very good discussion. It even ended with kind of a Jeopardy game about it, which was fun. So I do thank them, and also want to thank Jamie Johnson for the guidance he provides in leading that group. That's very important.
Well, thank you. Having completed the material before the board, I adjourn the meeting.